welcome to episode 4 of the Some Brothers podcast, where us brothers talk about books, movies, music, and more. I am Dillon, here with my brother Ryan. Before we get into it, do you have any interesting stories to tell from life? Did anyone barf on anyone else's shoes since we last talked?
No, I think there is a little something that I was maybe going to bring up, but I think I'm pushing it to the next episode because we really want to get to our main event in this episode as a little teaser. That is where we go over our worst albums by our favorite artists.
Yeah.
Like we have each picked, a few of our favorite artists, and we are going to reveal our least favorite albums by them.
Yeah, I am excited for that in the sense that it was very difficult to do. So yeah, I think we'll have a lot to say about that.
Okay.
So before we get into that, let's just quickly go over what have we been reading, watching, or listening to lately. Yeah. Have you been reading anything good lately?
Yeah, just to mention it, I finally have started reading White Teeth by Zadie Smith.
Oh, okay.
You recommended that so long ago to me.
Yeah.
And I finally have started it. So not enough to really talk about it. I'm like 60 pages in maybe, but I wanted to finally mention that I am finally reading it.
Yeah, very cool. Cool for me to hear. I'm excited to hear how it is. And if any listeners are wondering, you might think 60 pages, that seems like quite a bit, but it's a big book. Long
it
book,
is, and this copy is 400 pages, which isn't like crazy, but it's
tiny
small
font.
text. Yeah. So there's a lot of words in this book.
Cool. Well, stay tuned, and maybe we'll talk more about that later. I also want to mention a book that I have only started, so I don't have a lot to say about it yet, but it was an interesting find because we've mentioned on here how I found that list of the most translated book from different countries around the world, and I found an audiobook version of the most translated book from Uruguay in South America. The book is called The Open Veins of Latin America by Eduardo Galeano, and I think I mentioned it on here before, but for audiobooks, I only listen to nonfiction audiobooks. I've just never been able to get into fiction stories in that format. But for nonfiction, I like listening to it. It feels like somebody telling me a long story or listening to a lecture. And so seeing on that list of most translated books, there's this nonfiction title that's like a long history book. I thought that's a good option for an audiobook because it's like, I forget, 15, 16 hours long or something in audiobook format. Must be a really big book. So far, it's really interesting. I mean, last time I talked about this history book I read about Costa Rica. This time it's about all of Latin America in general. So, it's big, wide lens, but it's also like very passionately written, which is not always the case with like a history textbook size thing. So it's good so far. What about watching? You been watching any good movies or shows lately?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up, without talking in too deep, because this stuff that people become concerned about with spoilers, but just to give a very general impression, because we haven't talked about it, so I don't imagine you have seen either of these two yet. They're both still in theaters, but I have. They're both still in theaters as of the recording of this. Yeah. We're definitely recording this way before this comes out. So for anybody listening to this when it comes out, you can probably catch these on streaming.
Yeah.
At this point, if you haven't seen them yet, my recommendation is that they're good, and they are Superman and the new Fantastic Four movie, Fantastic Four: First Steps. I think for the people who are getting a little burnt out on the superhero stuff, these will both be refreshing. They were both surprisingly good to me, taking things in a new direction. And for those who didn't know, this Superman movie is written and directed by James Gunn, who was the writer and director of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Refreshing new... kind of seemingly new directions for both of those franchises. So
very cool.
Those are good.
Yeah, I still have not seen either of those. I was, out of the country for part of it. And then, I need to catch up. They sound good. I'll just mention one movie that I finally got around to. You had recommended when it was in theaters, and that is Sinners.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Sinners made it onto streaming, and I thought, okay, yeah, I need to check that one out. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. My first thought was, sorry, Anne Rice, but these are the only vampires I want to interview. Because infamously, I didn't like Interview with the Vampire, book or movie. And vampire stuff's kind of hit or miss for me. But this one is a lot of fun, very entertaining. I like the way they weave music into the story. That was cool. If they had even gone further and made it like even more of a musical, that would have like blown my mind. But still super cool the way they did that. And I want to give one actor shout out from the movie, the guy that plays the main vampire dude, Jack O'Connell, I think his name is. I didn't even know while watching the movie that he's the same guy that plays Louis Zamperini in Unbroken, the real life guy.
I haven't seen it.
I had seen it multiple times, and it was like a decade ago, so he looks different, but like also very different type of character. So it wasn't even until like I looked up the cast afterwards, and I was like, that was that guy? That was the same guy? Wow. But yeah, great performances overall. I mean, it must be hard to play your own twin also, so shout out to Michael B. Jordan. What about listening?
Yeah, I like Michael B. Jordan a lot, and like whatever he's in.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't seen him give a bad performance, and I think he's been in every Ryan Coogler movie so far.
Right.
That director. And speaking of music, since Sinners is about music, have you been listening to anything good lately?
Yeah, the other update, I guess, about music is continuation from last episode, kind of where I made that old playlist of old classic rock stuff. I finally installed a CD player or a new stereo receiver in my truck because it doesn't have anything in it. It had I plug in the little thing to let you Bluetooth to your phone, but then my port has been broken and it just like dangles there. And I finally replaced the receiver so that it has Bluetooth. And then I got one with a CD player too, because I recently got my whole big old binder of CDs back from our dad when they moved. And I was like, I'll get a CD player too, because it's the same price or whatever. So I just decided, heck, I'm just gonna go in order through my CD binder, one after another. Just start doing that and it's been fun to do that, even though it's going to take me ages. It's going to take me ages just to get through because they're in order by artist. And I have so many Rolling Stones albums, and then so many, I have all the Beatles albums and all the Eagles albums, you know what I mean? But even the Rolling Stones are at the beginning. I put them, they're in the front. It's not it's alphabetical order. So I'm going to be listening to just Rolling Stones in the car for months, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I'm doing. And that won't show up. It's not going to show up on my Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah.
Like Rolling Stones will be my number one artist because I'm going to listen to like their entire discography, and their discography is huge.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's fun to do.
Yeah.
But do you have anything else to talk about for listening?
A couple, yeah. I wanted to say that's very on brand for the retro vibe of our show, I think, what you're doing.
CDs.
But that's cool. You get to start with the Rolling Stones. I thought you were going to say they were alphabetized, and I was like, oh, you probably have to start with ABBA, and you'll get to Rolling Stones like next year. But as for me, I've been kind of doing the opposite. I've been trying to find new music, like new release albums to listen to, because I don't know, I like to keep up with new releases, but I've been having a hard time like finding ones that I'm interested in lately. However, there have been multiple new album releases from hip hop artists that I keep on my radar. So I'm still looking for other genres. There are some forthcoming releases from like rock bands I like. The biggest news being my favorite band Motion City Soundtrack, is coming out with a new album later this year. Their first album in a decade because they broke up. So that's big news. I'll talk about that more later, but I'll just give quickly 3 new hip-hop releases I listened to, and this is vaguely ranked from worst to best of these 3. The first one is called Don't Tap the Glass by Tyler, the Creator. New Tyler, the Creator album. It's just all right, in my opinion. I like some of his other albums better. But worth a listen, I mean, if you're a Tyler, the Creator or hip-hop fan. The next one is called Neighborhood Gods Unlimited by Open Mike Eagle. He's an underrated hip-hop artist, in my opinion, one of my favorites that's doing it. So I definitely recommend that one to hip-hop fans, especially kind of alternative, less mainstream stuff. And one that I recommend even more than those other ones is the new album by A$AP Rock, Black Hole Superette. This one I was really excited to stumble across because I didn't know he had a new album out, but I found the new Open Mike Eagle album, and then Spotify recommended hey, A$AP Rock also has a new album out, and it's his best album in my opinion in a long time, and I'm a fan of his albums in general, so that one's been my most re-listened to so far this year. And like you teased for our main event, we're going to talk about music even more. So before we get to that, do you want to give your Marvel Power rankings?
I think I do. And what I'm doing with my rankings this month, my Marvel comics that I'm reading right now, Power rankings, is I took another kind of snapshot. So, I gave my pre-reading rankings, and then the last update you got was the beginning issues, which was, maybe up till 1966 in there, for what I was reading, kind of the beginning, getting established, this kind of period where things like you still have Iron Man and Captain America in a split comic book together, half and half, and Hulk is half of one with Submariner, and I wasn't reading Submariner, so I only read the Hulk half. So that was that, and as a recap of that rankings, from 6 to 1, it was Captain America 6, X-Men 5, Iron Man 4, Hulk 3, Daredevil 2, and Spider-Man at number 1.
Naturally.
So this month, what I'm doing is kind of updating it as of right at the beginning of 1970. We've skipped a few years ahead. We're definitely into the period where Iron Man is its own comic book, Captain America, Hulk, they're all now their own comic book, and there's a new entrant into the comic books, because I have this whole big list of what I want to read, and so there'll be some that come in and out during this, and so there's a new one in here, and it'll be a surprise for when I come across their ranking.
Okay, not at the bottom.
We'll start. No, not at the bottom. At the bottom, we'll start down there. We have Iron Man.
Really?
Iron Man down to the bottom. And they were previously, Iron Man was previously 4. The thing is, it never adopted a compelling through line story. It's just kind of week to week stuff's happening. And the thing that contributed to them, to Iron Man being in the middle previously, was Pepper and Happy. But they drop out.
Really?
They only come in every once in a while, kind of, but very sparingly. They're basically not in it at all anymore, and that kind of made it fall down. It made it kind of boring, and kind of a term that I'm going to use a lot going forward with some of these is stale. They kind of get a little stale after a couple years, where there's nothing really new that's interesting going on. So, in the same vein, that was number 7, technically, because I got 7 now instead of 6. So, number 6 is Hulk, down from 3. Same thing, kind of getting stale, still kind of interesting. It's doing the space stuff, but there's, again, no, through line story arc that is interesting. This is all the stuff that makes Spider-Man interesting, because he's got all his personal stuff that is interesting. So it's that same thing. No through line. It starts to wear off. And then number 5 is down from 2 is Daredevil. Same thing, same problem. That's just the story of a lot of these comic books in this era. It kind of had some interesting stories, but still no through line. It's above the other ones because it did this like death of Matt Murdock thing where he like faked that he died, which was kind of interesting. It just was another thing that happened that was interesting, but it didn't seem like it was really paying off enough to keep it up at number 2 where it was previously. So number 4, up from number 6, up from last place, is Captain America.
Okay.
Captain America started doing some kind of interesting stuff with its villains, a little more interesting villains than some of the cheesy early 60s stuff and the Red Skull that I wasn't ever really into that much. Madam Hydra was an interesting storyline. He does a Death of Steve Rogers thing where, his personal life is too conflicted in it, and so he fakes that Captain America as Steve Rogers dies. Like, people think Captain America died for a long time, then he comes back and they're like, I don't know, now his identity is a secret again, kind of a thing. And that was kind of interesting. And even if for a short period they made like Rick Jones. So Rick Jones is this kid who starts in Hulk. He's the kid who Bruce Banner saves when he becomes Hulk, is Rick Jones. So he's like in the early issues of Hulk, he's there, but he shows up in Captain America a little bit, and for a very brief stint is his sidekick in Bucky's costume. And I kind of didn't like that. It seemed like not good, and obviously people probably didn't like it because it didn't last for very long. And then Red Skull did come back, and that was kind of it. I was like, I don't know, but it was with the Cosmic Cube, and he was doing weird stuff like sending Captain America into all these dimensions trying to break his will and stuff. It was like one comic book where he did that, but it was really interesting. It was like, whoa, it was different. It's the stuff I liked about Hulk, where he was going through space and doing weird stuff. So that was pretty interesting. And then off of that storyline, you get the first introduction of Falcon. So all of that kind of put Captain America up. And Falcon, I didn't know in the very beginning, his costume's green. He doesn't have wings. Weird.
Really weird.
Yeah, he has his Falcon, but that's why he's called Falcon. Not because he has wings.
Wow. He's changed so much. The first one I saw of Falcon is, I think our dad had a Captain America and Falcon comic book at one point when we were kids.
Yeah.
And it was the red one with the wings, and I always really liked that.
That's the classic one, I think. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know when it becomes that, but in the very beginning, green, no wings. He's just fighting with his Falcon.
And then by the time...
But it's still good.
Yeah. By the time we get to the movies, he doesn't even get either of those. It's more like mech suits, not very colorful. But
they give him like a little red accents to hint at the red costume, but that's about it. So that was Captain America at number 4. So here's where we start to shake it up a little bit more interestingly too, because at number 3 we have Spider-Man.
Really? He dropped down?
At 3. Yeah. So I have nothing bad to say about Spider-Man. Spider-Man is still just as good as ever during this time, but falls to 3 because X-Men at this period here at around end of 69, 1970 starts to get really kind of interesting to me. Whereas before it was 5, I was ranked 5, almost at the bottom, because it was like doing the same thing. It just wasn't interesting, but it got a little weird kind of, and that was interesting to me. The art was like kind of a little edgy, I guess is the way I would say it. It was just not the same as all the other comic book art that was out there. I wrote that it was Neil Adams was doing the art at that time, and I liked that. The writing became like, it was kind of like jumpy and disjointed a little bit, where it would jump really fast through things. The pace would jump, and they're just doing things instead of like they're just hanging out and they're all doing their little banter, and it's like several panels where they're just talking about whatever. They're like jumping ahead and doing stuff in the story, which really helped keep it going. And the stories were strange, where like with Polaris coming, and then Magneto saying, "Oh, she's my daughter," and the stuff with Alex Summers becoming Havoc, and that involves him being captured by the Pharaoh and taken to Egypt, and in a pyramid, the Pharaoh's trying to lock his powers away because that's how he can keep his powers. It's this weird like stuff going on. The return of the Sentinels. It's not the first time the Sentinels are in X-Men, but they come back, and it the way that they're capturing the X-Men, and some of the X-Men, and the public is turned against the X-Men, and that kind of stuff is done. That's what I know X-Men as. That's what we know it as, is the Sentinels and all this stuff. It's weird. It's kind of weird and out there, some of the stories. It's not like other comic book stories in the same way, and that's what was happening. And so, because I really like to see that stuff, it kind of topped out Spider-Man. It became a little more interesting in this period, what X-Men was doing. But number 1, Silver Surfer.
Oh, Silver Surfer standalone?
I've always liked Silver Surfer, and I have read the standalone. The standalones didn't last very long. It was started in 1968, so obviously it wasn't in my previous ranking. And then it went to, I don't know, I think the end of 1970. So it's still going on during when I'm doing this ranking right now, at the beginning of 1970. And what I like to do with them is go and read the origins, of the characters. So I did read the issues of Fantastic Four that Silver Surfer starts in, because Silver Surfer is with Galactus. He's the Herald of Galactus who, finds Earth and brings Galactus there to destroy it, and then the Fantastic Four have to defeat them. But in doing that, they kind of turn around Silver Surfer and make him become good, like rebel against Galactus, and in doing so, Galactus banishes Silver Surfer to Earth. And that's his arc. That's this standalone Silver Surfer series is where he's stuck on Earth. Like, he can go really high in the sky and out, but there's a limit. There's this invisible barrier that he hits, and he has to stay on Earth. And, like the Silver Surfer story, right, is he's on his own planet, and Galactus comes to devour it, but he's like, no, wait, he sacrifices himself to become the Silver Surfer, to go be the one to go find Galactus, his planets, to devour so that he can save his planet. And so that's what he's doing. So he's like a good guy, but has to do this bad thing, and so he becomes sympathetic towards humans on Earth. He sees the Fantastic Four and just regular people do things like sacrifice themselves for other people, heroic acts that makes him go, oh, these people are worth saving, that kind of thing. Seeing the good in people. And actually, before I go further, I have to give a little shout out. I thought I wouldn't like Fantastic Four. That's why I didn't read them in here. I liked those issues. Like, there's some parts that are cheesy, but they're doing some out there stuff in that, even that early Fantastic Four stuff from the mid 60s even. So I bet I was definitely sleeping on that, and probably should go back and read that at some point. But what I like, so Silver Surfer really, like, they really got to do a good, like, philosophizing character with him, because he's like, what he's been changed into, he's kind of like outside of humanity, but he's doing all this philosophizing about, like, why are these humans, some of them are good, but they continue to fight against each other, and they don't need to, and he's always like conflicted about what they should do, and he's also always like getting caught up in these misunderstandings where, like, humans or militaries or whatever at first they want to shoot at him and fight him just as their first instinct, and he's like, why are they like this? But then he sees the humanity in like one person who does something good, and he's like, no, but I can't just fight them and destroy them, because he's like all powerful, you know, and he could just destroy everybody, but then he's like, no, I can't do it. I have to help them and save them. And that's interesting because he is that same all powerful thing, and he still has this like forgiveness and this willingness to see the potential, you know, and he continuously like sacrifices. He does this a lot. He sacrifices his chances to escape. He has multiple chances to like get out of Galactus's bubbles, but he sacrifices them in order to save humanity, even though they see him as a villain oftentimes. So it's like, I really like that, you know, reluctant hero thing. It's kind of like Wolverine a little bit, where he's angry and stuff, and he doesn't feel like, he doesn't really want to get along with people or help them, but he is a hero and he has to help, you know. There's also, Silver Surfer is one of the first comic books of this era that really starts having a lot of, because of that stuff, anti-violence, anti-war stuff at a time that's like around the time of the Vietnam War. The other comics do start to do stuff like that, civil rights stuff and whatever, but later. Silver Surfer kind of tackles it first, and I think it was a safer way to do it, maybe because he's like an alien, and it's just like, oh, what would an alien think from outside? It's not like you're Captain America and taking a big stance against the war. You know, that might have been seen at the time as a little too far to push the boundary, but you can do it as an alien. But like Silver Surfer has stories where he's going to South America and helping a woman fight resistance against a tyrannical government regime, you know. And it made me go like, where is this story in Captain America? Why is Silver Surfer doing this? It seems like a Captain America thing to do all this international stuff. But, you know, same thing I was just thinking about. Maybe it's seeming a little more neutral if this alien does it. And then I also like the art, you know, all the cosmic space stuff gets kind of interesting in how they do the art and shooting beams and stuff like that. So I know that was really long, but that's what I like about Silver Surfer, and I justify him being number one during this time.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting that, trying to think of what the surprise was going to be. So, yeah. Interesting to hear about. Well, now we should, for the sake of time, get to our main event, which we'll probably also talk a long time about.
Oh, yeah.
Because we came to this prepared with a difficult list of the worst albums from our favorite artist or band. The way we did this is we each separately chose 3 of our favorite artists, and we had to make the difficult decision of, basically, we had to choose one that we, you know, would erase off the face of the earth if we had to. Which one of theirs is the worst album? And before we get into our individual ones, both of us are big fans of New York rock band The Strokes. Famously or infamously, we both mentioned them in our top albums of the 21st century so far. When we reacted to comments, one person told us that disqualifies us as serious music reviewers, that we like The Strokes. But that's fine. We're just going to stand by it and say we're not serious music critics. We're just fans, and we like them.
Yeah.
So, first, I want to try to guess what your least favorite Strokes album is before we both
I guess I should try
ours.
to guess what yours is too then, right?
Yeah.
We'll just guess each other's and then say what ours actually are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that your least favorite Strokes album is the newest one, The New Abnormal from 2020.
Should I reveal mine first, or say your guess first?
Guess
like
mine.
My guess for you.
Guess mine.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that yours. I'm gonna guess yours is Come Down Machine, maybe.
That was the other one I was thinking of guessing for you. I was between those two.
Yeah.
And really, the only reason why is because those were the two I was stuck between myself.
Well, me too.
Yeah, interesting.
Sounds like we maybe kind of agree on this one, at least in first impression. I mean, I have my whole ranking here. Maybe we can go down ours real fast. But so what is your least favorite?
My least favorite is The New Abnormal from 2020.
Okay. Same with me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure because part of me was thinking maybe I just need to give it more time. Like maybe I need to revisit it because, I didn't like the Come Down Machine when it first came out.
Yeah.
But it did grow on me a lot.
Same thing with me.
Yeah.
It's not even my second to last, actually.
Oh, it would be.
Over time, which is interesting. I kind of revisited this because I thought it would be, and it always kind of had been. But yeah, it's changed over time. The interesting thing to me is that over the time since it has come out, and the new Abnormal's been out for 5 years now.
Yeah.
So it's been a good amount of time. I liked it better when it came out than I like it now.
Okay.
Actually. So I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't usually go back and listen to the new Abnormal. Like, it never had that effect on me.
Really only, there's like one song that I like a lot, and that's Brooklyn Bridge to Chorus.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one. I like Eternal Summer also, but it's not one I want to listen to all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember even when Angles came out, I wasn't a huge fan of Angles at first. But now I would rate that pretty highly. It just was like that's big shift.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I felt the same kind of thing. I have a lot of songs I like on that. The problem is with saying like, oh, it's whatever, my second to last, because it is. I put Angles as second to last. I like Come Down Machine a little more than Angles, actually, at this point. Is that 1 through 5, I like a lot. You know, like, New Abnormal was kind of, in retrospect, easy to put at the bottom because I do like the other one so much, and saying it's second to worst is not quite the right way to say it. It's like these first 5 are very good, you know.
I want to hear your rankings then. I'm curious.
Okay. Well, should I go from bottom to top?
Yeah, do bottom to top.
6 is the New Abnormal. 5, Angles. 4, Come Down Machine. 3, First Impressions of Earth. 2, Is This It? And 1 is Room on Fire.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I would definitely have the top 2 the same as you, for sure. I didn't have them written out, but I think I can. I have it in my head as Room on Fire is like 10 out of 10 to me, like one of my all-time favorite albums. So, yeah, that's the type of stuff we're working with. That's number 1. I would also put Is This It number 2. As for number 3, I'm like not totally sure between First Impressions of Earth or Angles. I would put those are like competing for 3 and 4, and then I would have Come Down Machine and then New Abnormal at the bottom. So not a huge difference.
Yeah. So we get a little muddied. You know, last episode we talked about how we can like the same things but for different reasons. This one we seem pretty consistent. We both like the top things. Yeah. Are the same, and our bottom is the same. The middle is a little mixed up, but you know, barely. That's pretty close, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wasn't sure if you would even have the same number 1 as me, but again, the difficult thing about this is like we're ranking stuff that we both really enjoy. It's like, you know, our favorites. So then we should move on to the ones more individually. And do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go first. I don't really know what order. I didn't put this in any particular order, I guess. But I'm starting with what I actually consider my favorite artist, REM.
And I want to guess.
I picked a few artists here with quite a number of albums. Yeah. So, like, it's kind of a lot to choose from. REM has 15 albums to choose from. So, yeah, go ahead and... make your guess.
I feel like my guess is pretty random here because I did go back and look at the REM albums, and I mean I have before gone through all of their albums. I've listened to all of them, and so I kind of only had a vague idea in my head of like which ones had more songs that stood out to me, and which ones I kind of know you listen to certain songs. Part of me just wanted to guess their most recent, like just kind of the same kind of Strokes effect, but I am going to throw out the guess that your least favorite REM album is Reveal from 2001.
You're very close. You're very in the realm. Your thinking is so close. But my least favorite album is actually Around the Sun from 2004.
Okay.
But I have Collapse Into Now, their most recent one, and Reveal right on its heels is what I wrote. Okay. Wrote down is like those two are very close. So it's like Around the Sun has The Ascent of Man on it, which is one of my favorite REM songs, but it doesn't really have a whole lot other than that. And, you know, like Collapse Into Now, like I said, their most recent album, it has a few that I kind of like, but it's really only just like medium, you know, as far as, you know, I'm concerned. You know, I'll still like listen to these albums because it's my favorite artist, but I recognize that it's just medium. Now, Reveal actually has a few that I really like. It has All the Way to Reno, Imitation of Life, and She Just Wants to Be is another deeper cut that I really like. But the rest of the album isn't great, so it's like kind of falls below medium. So it's like Around the Sun just had the one standout kind of to me, so that's why it adds up or ends up there. And then when you're talking about like Around the Sun and Reveal, and actually just anything post Bill Berry, the original drummer, or you know, their drummer leaving, there are a couple standouts because that's this area that we're talking about, right? Reveal and Around the Sun, and after I don't remember what 1996 is that New Adventures in Hi-Fi. I think that was the last album with Bill Berry on it. The first one without him was Up, which I actually really like. I like Up quite a bit from 1998. So the couple standouts after he left are Up and actually Accelerate from 2008, and Accelerate I feel like is actually really just like a medium album for most casual fans, but I like it kind of in a nostalgic way because it's the first REM album that released after I became a fan.
Yeah.
So I remember it coming out. Like it was one that I was able to like, oh, this album came out now and I get to listen to it, you know? So that's the era, you know, it's the post Bill Berry era where those were the candidates were, but you were very close in guessing it.
Yeah, I'm surprised with myself for like kind of being in the right area at least. Well, my first individual artist I chose, I had to say Shakira's my favorite artist. I mean, I just talked about her in the last episode, going to see her live in concert. Before I start talking about it, do you have a guess which would be my least favorite?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I'm not familiar enough with. I forgot to ask before this if I even remembered which artists you were picking. So I'm not really familiar enough with Shakira's albums. I'm sure she has a lot of them, you know. So I don't even know if it's worth it me even looking up and just picking a random one. So
yeah, and I would say most people that know me in real life wouldn't know how to answer that question. Like, if you just know me as a fan, you'd probably say like, you probably give them all like a perfect 10 out of 10, right? But that's not true. I have my preferences for which of her albums are better than other ones. It was difficult though. I know which ones are my favorites. Her first album, Pies Descalzos, and Sale el Sol from 2010. Those are like definitely my two favorites. From there, I had to break it down to her English language albums. She has 10 albums total. 6 of them are in Spanish, 4 of them are in English. So in general, I feel like her songwriting in Spanish is a little bit better. So I made myself choose from the 4 that are in English, which was still a hard choice. That includes Oral Fixation. She has like a Spanish version, Fijación Oral, and then Oral Fixation in English. That was like in competition, but it has some standout ones, including a song with Carlos Santana, so that's cool.
Okay.
I also named my novel Animal City, Cannibal World after a song from that album, so that can't be the bottom.
Yeah.
I was considering She-Wolf because She-Wolf as a song is very iconic, but then that album has a lot of like kind of misses or weird collaborations, but it also has her collaboration with one of my favorite hip-hop artists, Kid Cudi, is on one of the songs on that album. So I ended up choosing my least favorite Shakira album is her self-titled album, just called Shakira, from 2014. And this kind of surprised me that was my conclusion, because kind of like you were saying with Accelerate, in 2014, this was when I was like a huge Shakira fan, established, to be like, oh, the new Shakira album's coming out. I remember going to get the CD and just listening to the CD on repeat and like learning the songs on guitar and stuff. However, more than a decade later, I go back to that one the least often to listen to the songs. It has Can't Remember to Forget You with Rihanna, which is a good big hit. It has Empire, which is like a deeper cut that I think is really great. But other than that, it has some weirder collaborations like Medicine with Blake Shelton and Cut Me Deep with the band Magic, who had like a one-hit wonder of their own. The what was their song that they do? I can't even remember it right now. They're like a reggae pop band. This had she did like the theme song for the 2014 World Cup also, which is on here. Dare, in parentheses, La La La, which is not as good, not even close to as good as the other World Cup song she did, Waka Waka. So this one just ended up at the bottom for me. Shakira's self-titled 2014.
All right. Okay, I guess I go to my number 2, So my number 2 artist is the Eagles. Going with the Eagles, which technically wrong, technically just Eagles. No in Eagles. You familiar enough with Eagles albums to try to pick out my least favorite here?
I can throw a guess out. I mean, I've listened to the Eagles a good amount. But looking at their discography, I mean, like I don't think there's like a dud or like one that's a clear worse one. I would guess, just off the top of my head, One of These Nights, maybe.
Not a bad guess, I would say. Not a bad guess. So this one's another one where I got a little caveat here with this one, because I say Hell Freezes Over from 1994, but I think that might not be quite fair because there's only 4 new songs on that album and the rest are live. So it's kind of like what we were talking about last episode with the Apple Trees at Olema, new and selected poems. It's mostly selected poems, only but the 4 new songs are like great. They're mostly great. 2 of them are on their greatest hits out of 4 from this album. So still not bad.
Like Get Over It, is that one of the new songs?
Get Over It is on there, and Love Will Keep Us Alive is on there. So if I can't say that, if I'm throwing that one out, I'm saying Long Road Out of Eden, their latest one from 2007, which the thing there is that album could have been a lot better. So where I'm saying you're not far off is that of their pre-breakup stuff, One of These Nights is my least favorite one. So you nailed that. You nailed their pre-breakup. So it's kind of like, that's why it's like, it's not quite fair. They have, one real full album since they got back together, and it's, they're not going to get the same kind of magic. But the problem I have with Long Road Out of Eden is that it could have been much better if it wasn't a double album. Mm-hmm. It's too long, like there's some great songs on there that I really like. And I think they might have benefited from what I keep saying that Stephen King needs as he gets older. He needs somebody as an editor to say, like, hey, maybe we cut some of this out of this, or something like that. So I actually there's gonna be a link in the description here to a playlist I made on Spotify that is my 12-song album cut, for this my single album. I still don't think it makes it rival their pre-breakup albums, but it's definitely turns a mediocre album into a good one. So if you're interested in what my song pick is for that, for my edit, my Ryan's cut of Long Road Out of Eden, go check the description for that link to that Spotify playlist.
Yeah, that's very cool. I might check that out because, that one crossed my mind, Long Road Out of Eden, like, as potentially the worst one. But in my mind, I was like, I feel like I remember you liking some songs off that one quite a bit.
I definitely do.
obviously you like all their stuff, but yeah, I'll have to check out the greatest hits in your opinion from that album.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to my next one that I mentioned earlier. They have a new album coming out soon that I haven't had the chance to hear. Motion City Soundtrack. I think you're probably not familiar enough to make a guess here, right?
Yeah, still not. And they also have a lot of albums, don't they?
Yeah, they have quite a bit.
I didn't mention it, but Eagles have 7 or 8 if you count Hell Freezes Over.
I think that's about the same as Motion City Soundtrack.
Okay.
Yeah, from 2003 to 2015 was their original run before getting together recently. And this one was actually an easy pick for me, even though they're my favorite band, because my least favorite album of theirs is Panic Stations from 2015, their most recent album before they split up officially. And the reason is, just like what happened to REM, their original drummer left. Only before this album. So, all their other albums, it's the original lineup. They have one album with a different drummer. I know that's just one member, but to me it was a big difference. Tony Thaxton is the original drummer, and he's probably my favorite drummer. If I had to pick a drummer, I really like his drumming specifically in their sound. He does a lot of interesting stuff. And I did get the chance back around 2015. I saw them live with the new drummer, and he's good. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about him. He learned all the old songs the way they are, but the new songs on this album just don't have the same type of energy. It's kind of like, in my mind, it's kind of like the last season of Scrubs, where Scrubs, the TV show, ended. They had a finale, and then they had a new season that's really a spin-off show. It was like Scrubs Med School, and there's all these new characters, and the original characters are there sometimes as a teacher. I don't know. That might be a weird comparison, but it has that vibe of like, it's over, but here's like kind of a similar thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that one was kind of an easy pick, but I'm excited for their new album coming out later this year with Tony Thaxton back on the drums. But what's your next artist you chose?
My final artist is Soul Asylum.
Oh, okay.
And they've got 13 albums. I mean, I know you're familiar with some of the Soul Asylum.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much their early stuff. And I don't know how much you've kept up with their releases. Post, maybe Silver Lining, 2007.
Yeah, when I look at their discography,
gotta guess.
I mostly know the albums in the middle of their
in the 90s,
discography. Yeah, 90s into like Silver Linings, but I do remember listening up to the 2012 one, maybe even the 2016 one. They have another one after that I don't think I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. So I'd randomly throw out maybe they're 2012.
They have 2 more after 2016. Oh, they have a 2020 and a 2024, actually.
Okay, yeah. I haven't been keeping up. I would throw out their 2012 album, Delayed Reaction, as my random guess, because I think I remember listening to it and nothing stood out from it.
No, I think you're pretty far off on,
okay,
actually.
That was a random guess.
Yeah, on this one, I'm actually picking their first album.
Okay.
Say What You Will, Clarence, Carl Sold the Truck from 1984. Funny album title name, but this is from the era in, the 80s where they were more punk, which is fine. It's just more polished. It's just not what I like Soul Asylum for. They have a few good songs in there that I like, because I like a punk, and I like the way that I don't know enough about punk to know kind of what their genre would be, like their really specific genre would be called. But really, it's once their style really changed to a little more of a mainstream rock sound in 1992 with Grave Dancers Union, featuring the song that most people would know, Runaway Train. But there were actually 5 albums before that. Wow. They released 5 albums before that one. So, really, like, the best ones are their trio of 90s albums. It's like one of the best trio of back-to-back albums in my opinion, that there is, of Grave Dancers Union, Let Your Dim Light Shine, and Candy from a Stranger.
Yeah.
Those are all great. 92, 95, 98. But in terms of like worst, their newest one, Slowly But Surely from 2024, that one was pretty close. It's pretty mediocre, and they really haven't had a good album since 2012, Delayed Reaction.
Oh, okay.
I really like that album. That's a pretty good album. I mean, I do like the one before that is The Silver Lining, their 2007 album. That one's good too. But yeah, Delayed Reaction's also good. But their albums since then, I think they've had 3. Not really that great.
Okay.
There's a couple in there that I like, but Delayed Reaction is definitely their last good album.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, I was way off on that one. I mean, I'm not familiar with their early stuff, and yeah, I think I pretty much stopped at Silver Lining. I liked that album.
Yeah, you should check out Delayed Reaction again. Maybe I think that's one of the ones that they kind of grew on me a little more over time, kind of like some of the Strokes stuff a little bit.
Yeah, I probably listened to it once and then forgot about it. That's why in my mind I was like, that's when I stopped listening or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of Soul Asylum's early punk days and punk music, the last favorite band of mine that I chose is the Ramones. I don't know how to talk about a plural singular band like that, but
yeah.
The Ramones. Are you familiar enough with them to throw a random guess out?
I'm not familiar with their albums
at
all. I don't know anything about how many there are, when they were, what's on what. I've listened to the Ramones, but certainly not enough to be familiar with their albums.
Yeah, this one might be hard for anyone that's not a big listener of them or a fan, because certainly people that don't like the Ramones actively would say that all their songs sound the same, right?
Yeah.
They have an established style for sure. For someone like me that's a big fan, I would reword that as they're consistently great. Like, they're just really good. They have a lot of catchy, fun, fast, like, punk songs, because they kind of revolutionized a fast sound with distortion, but also doing like kind of like a 50s pop style catchy songs in that style, including some covers from that time. So for me, it's kind of hard because I like all of their stuff, but they had a long career, longer than some people might think, because they were really active in the late 70s and they were really popular. But they kept going all through the 80s and all the way till 1995 was their like last album.
Wow.
And I like that one. I would say going back to like it would overlap with the origins of Soul Asylum, I guess, into the 80s punk. I don't like 80s music as much in general. If I like look at decades of music, like 60s great, 70s great, 80s, there's good stuff, but it's not my favorite time. 90s and 2000s, that's like when I was growing up, so love it.
Yeah.
So in general, the Ramones 80s albums don't stand out to me as much, and I landed on their 1986 album, Halfway to Sanity. This one, I don't know, it doesn't really have any standout tracks I would mention, like ones that I go back to. I kind of like Go Lil Camaro Go is one of the songs on there, or Bop Till You Drop. They still have fun ones, but their other 80s albums that I don't go back to as much, they still have fun ones. Like their next album from 1989 has Pet Sematary, like related to the Stephen King book and movie, and some other fun songs on there. So yeah, all their other 80s albums I actually like quite a bit when I look back at them, other than the one that I have to choose, which is Halfway to Sanity. Okay.
All right.
That was our difficult task for today, choosing some of our favorite artists or bands and our least favorite album from them.
Yeah, and while we still have time, we got to make sure we get to our recast of the episode. And in honor of the new Mortal Kombat movie, Mortal Kombat 2, the sequel to the 2021 Mortal Kombat movie. We wanted to have your own pick of a Mortal Kombat character, not necessarily from a movie, but a character who's been in a game at some point. Who would you like to have them play in a movie? So who's your pick for a character and the actor to play?
Yeah, this was a tough one for me because I am a fan of Mortal Kombat. I'm not a huge video game player, but we both grew up playing video games a lot, and I definitely favored fighting games and Tony Hawk, which I doubt they'll ever make a movie of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, although I would watch it.
There's a documentary, right?
That's true. I still need to check that one out.
Yeah.
But a movie version of Underground, that's got a strong enough story. Anyway, Off topic. Mortal Kombat. This is also hard for me because I did like the 2021 movie of Mortal Kombat, and I don't.
Yeah, I liked it fairly well too.
And I don't want to recast any of the existing people they have. I mean, Hiroyuki Sanada they got as Scorpion. I love him. The guy that plays Sub-Zero is Joe Taslim, who's an actor I like in martial arts stuff. He's in the TV show Warrior, which I really enjoyed. So I was trying to look for other characters that haven't been in a Mortal Kombat movie. And at first I was looking at some of the female fighters, like Kitana, who has the fan blades, are cool. Mm-hmm. And then also I was looking at Jade. But then I saw that both of them are featured in the new Mortal Kombat 2, so they've already been cast. So I ended up choosing the character Ermac, which was a new character, I believe, just in the second Mortal Kombat. So he's an early character who has kind of a red ninja costume. And the cool thing about him is he has some telekinetic powers. And I think his telekinesis would be cool to see in a movie. As for choosing an actor, I chose the South Korean actor Kim Woo-bin, who I recently saw in a new movie called Officer Black Belt. I think I mentioned this movie to you when I first saw it. It's a South Korean movie about this guy who trains in a bunch of martial arts, and he's a young guy, just likes to have fun with his friends, but then the police recruit him to be, an officer of the law that does martial arts. So I think, he'd be a cool actor to see as Ermac doing martial arts and telekinesis in Mortal Kombat 2.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm less familiar with Mortal Kombat characters, like you're saying. You play it more than I have, and you've seen more of the movies than I have too, also. So, but the character I chose to cast was, I wanted to have a little fun with something, so I chose Baraka.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So a little bit of a monster kind of.
Yeah, he's got like the mouth that's like a bunch of teeth all over his face.
Yeah, and who I chose to play Baraka is Bill Skarsgård.
Oh, okay. That's
because he might need to beef up a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think he's in shape, but he's a little thin. But I think he's just killing it as like scary looking creature roles, as it.
Yeah.
And not really a spoiler, but he's the vampire in Nosferatu.
Oh, okay.
And I only found that out after watching it. Like during watching it, you can't tell that that's him. He just looks real creepy. So I think he definitely could pull off the acting of like a scary character like that. And he was just in a movie.
I think I was gonna mention it to you.
Is that what you're gonna mention?
A martial arts movie he was in.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
It's called Boy Kills World.
Okay.
That's probably the one you're thinking of.
Probably.
I watched this one.
I haven't seen it.
So, just like last month where you chose Dev Patel as James Bond, who I loved in Monkey Man. Yes, I did see Boy Kills World, and Bill Skarsgård plays the main character who he's deaf and mute.
That's the one.
So his like voiceover thoughts are voiced by John Benjamin.
Okay.
Who's like, got that deep voice. He plays Bob from Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a funny kind of comedy take on martial arts, but he does really good action in that movie, so I could definitely see him being a Mortal Kombat character. Yet again, I like your choice a lot. Okay, nice. So let us know in the comments who picked a better addition for a new Mortal Kombat movie, or let us know your idea from all the characters from all the Mortal Kombat games. Who do you want to see on the screen, and who should play them? And thank you for listening to episode 4 of the Some Brothers podcast. Before you go, in case you missed it, our last episode of Adaptation Station was on the Stephen King book Dolores Claiborne and the movie adaptation. That was our season finale for season 4 of Adaptation Station. However, stay tuned. By now you should know we always do a Halloween bonus episode. This year we are continuing the Ring series with Ring Birthday by Koji Suzuki, and an interesting movie edition in that series. So go watch Dolores Claiborne. It's up now. Stay tuned for Ring. Thank you for listening to this episode and supporting us with a like and a subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye.